Hi everyone, it's Steve here from Imperial Light and Magic. What I'm going to do for you on this video is give you a very quick overview on Fusion 360. I've got a couple of friends who are getting into 3D design and 3D printing, and I've got a requirement just to make a test collar for a hex bit, like standard drill size or drill driver size bit. So I'm going to show you how to create a sketch. This is what Fusion 360 sort of uses, and you've got these three planes. You've got left, sort of right, and top down. So just for this, I'm going to click on the top down one, and that's selected that plane. So I'm now looking effectively top down on my part. Now, as I say, I want to actually create a hexagonal shape, and then I'm going to create sort of a collar around that, so that I can basically just test tolerance fit on the part that I'm ultimately going to be designing. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on this drop down up here. And because I want to create a polygon, I'm going to select the polygon tool. You can see I've got three different types of polygon selection open to me, but I'm just going to use the top one, which is going to allow me just to click in the center and then drag out a polygon. Now I've measured the part that I need, and it is 6¼ millimeters in size. Now, because when you 3D print stuff, there are tolerances involved. You're never going to want to print this at that exact dimension, because it won't fit. It'll basically be the exact sort of dimensions, or very, very close to it. And chances are your 3D printer is actually going to print something that it's just going to be too tight to fit. So also you'll notice that when we drag out from the center, it's giving us that center dimension. So I don't want to set that to be 6 and whatever. I need to halve it because we're going from the center. So obviously normally what I would do is I'd round it up to say 6.3, which would be 3.15. But in this case, I'm actually going to type in the amount that I want, because I'm just going to put this up to 3.3. And that hopefully should give us enough clearance. As I say, this is a test piece, so we're not going to be doing anything too crazy. We're not going to go and do the rest of this particular design. I'm just going to type that in there. And as you can see, I can also spin that part around by dragging my mouse before I've committed to anything. I'm not holding the button down or anything, so I can actually rotate that part as well. But for the time being, we're just going to have it vertical on here. And that's created a part, so I click Finish Sketch. Now what that's done is it's created a two-dimensional plane. So it's a shape on a plane. If I click the Home button in the top right hand corner there, it sort of resets the position back to the center of your workspace. And if I sort of actually move it around using the actual tool at the top, you can see it's a two-dimensional thing. So it's got no sort of body to it, which is going to be one of the things we're going to do in a moment or two. But what I want to do next is I actually want this plane to have a circle around it. So I'm going to create another sketch. It's going to be on the same plane. And what I'm going to do is go up to these tools. Now you can, if you click the just the circle tool, that will allow you to do a circle, a center circle. Basically, again, you start from the center and work outwards. But if you hover over each tool, and you can see there's numerous ones, you can actually create different kinds of circles, or for, in this particular example. So I am going to use a center circle. I'm going to drag that out from the center, and I can go obviously to whatever size and dimensions I want. So you can be dimensionally accurate with this. So first of all, because this is just a test part, I'm just going to sort of eyeball it, and then I will actually type in a figure, a round figure of what I want. So I think 10 mil in this case. And there we go, that's my initial dimension. Now if I want to change that, you just double click on the number, and you can see I can change that to 12 or whatever figure I want. I can double click it again, change it back to 10, and then as long as I hit Finish Sketch, that's the dimensions now. Now don't forget, this is still just a two-dimensional drawing. Okay, there is no physical sort of properties to this in regards to actually making a body out of it. So that's the next thing we're going to do. I'm going to basically try to now make this into some sort of three-dimensional object. So you can see that on the inside I've got my hex shape, on the outside I've got the circle shape. Now the circle is still everything, that's the whole lot. If I'd have drawn these the other way around, then yes, it would be the other way around. So if I click the circle and drag, click E on the keyboard, E for extrude, I can drag that shape upwards. Now I can click the home button just to see how much I've dragged out. And of course I can put dimensions in there to be whatever sort of height I want. I just dragged it out, eyeballing again. And you've got these different options here as to how you want this this extrude to act. So do I want it to be a new body? Do I want it to join two pieces together? Do I want it to cut one thing out from another, etc., etc. So in this particular case, I just really want to extrude this out into a new body. So I say OK. And then what I want to do is grab hold of my hexagon and drag it through this body to effectively cut that shape out. So I'm going to spin the object over just a little bit so I can see the hexagon there. Click on the hexagon to select it, hit E on the keyboard to extrude, and then I'm going to drag that straight through my object. And as you can see, at the moment it's defaulted that to the cut operation because it thought that's probably the most likely thing I'm going to want to do, is to cut one shape out of another. Now I can actually change that. If I wish, I can join it. As you can see now, it looks a little bit sort of like a socket, where it's actually joined those two objects. Instead of cutting one out from the other, it's actually it would just join the two together. I can also do an intersect, which will only form the parts where the two parts touch. I can sort of subtract one from the other, but as I say, for this particular example, I want to do a cut. Now, I've dragged the cut operation right through the middle or the center of this thing, and I've gone sort of past the edge. But the beauty of something like Fusion 360 is it's what's known as parametric modeling. It can use the dimensions from one thing to affect another. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm actually going to select here, instead of just dragging it a random amount, which happens to be through it, if I change that option there to an actual target and then say that's where I want my target to be and say OK, what it will do is it will remember that, and whatever dimension I then change in this case, the outer sort of collar to, that cut won't, it will always remain locked to that. So if I actually show you that now, so that's my body. If I click on the top and say extrude, I can actually drag that up, and you notice now that the cut part, even though I'm not changing the dimensions of that particular cut, it's staying locked to that top edge. So it's actually now bound effectively to that top edge, and if I drag it down, you can sort of see where the original height of that cut was. But now, because we have bound it using parametric modeling, it will always remain locked to that top edge, which is very, very, very powerful. So if you decide that you need to change the dimensions of something, at a later date, then yes, you can absolutely lock that to it, and it will always be there. You don't have to remember to go and sort of re-drag it through at a later time. Okay, so that's my parts kind of modeled up for this particular test that I want to do. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say File and then 3D Print. What that does is it pops up another menu where you can actually have this directly. Oh yes, so you have to select the body that you want to print. So that's my body, so that's now selected there. You see it turns blue, and as you can see, I've got send directly to my slicer, and your slicer is what your 3D printer talks to. So if I click OK on this, it's going to open Cura in my case. So we'll just give that a couple of moments. It's going to open up my Cura software, which will just take a moment. And it will place that part somewhere slap bang right in the middle, and now I can go to my slicer and change it as I need to. So I rotate that round, put it flat on the bed, etc., etc. But otherwise, that's it for the moment. Hope that was useful, and I'll do another video on this very soon. Bye for now.